Please welcome Fiserv's Head of Corporate Social Responsibility, Neil Wilcox.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neil Wilcox, Head of Corporate Social Responsibility here at Fiserv. As we gather here today under the theme of power moves, I am reminded that true power lies not just in individual action, but in collective impact. This panel, titled Powering Communities One Person at a Time, speaks directly to that idea. At Fiserv, we believe that when we combine our resources and align our missions with those we serve, we can create lasting, meaningful change. One area where we see this clearly is in our work with minority depository institutions. Our commitment goes beyond the traditional vendor-client relationship. It's about genuine partnership. We know that MDIs are critical to the financial health of the communities they serve, and by standing shoulder to shoulder with them, we can pursue opportunities and actions that have real, tangible impact on those communities. This is why Fiserv is dedicating significant resources and attention to support MDIs, not just as part of our corporate social responsibility efforts, but by embedding a team directly within our financial institutions group. This integration allows us to work together with MDIs, strengthening not only their institutions, but the broader ecosystem they are a part of. I'm honored to introduce Leslie Pierce, who leads this dedicated team at Fiserv. Leslie's leadership ensures that our commitment to MDIs is not just a statement, but a daily practice that drives our mission forward. Now, let's turn our attention to the panelists who will share their insights on powering communities, one person at a time. Let's welcome our panelists to the stage. First, I'd like to welcome Janette Ma, Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Banking Officer, U.S. Metro Bank. Next to the stage is Jim Sills, President and Chief Executive Officer, M&F Bank. And our final panelist I'll bring up is Stephen Gordon, Founding Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Genesis Bank. Have a seat. Fantastic. So glad you all are here with us today. Stephen, we'll start with you if that's all right.
Sure.
Earlier this year, we launched our merchant program with a special Clover offer to small businesses in low and moderate income communities in and around Orange County, California. We can start with maybe two questions. First, can you talk about your vision for this program and Genesis's partnership with Fiserv to deliver on the program? But if you can, to get us maybe all grounded just a bit, can you start off by sharing exactly what is an MDI, and then talk about why you and the team at Genesis decided to start this de novo bank with this designation?
Okay, so a minority depository institution, or an MDI, is a mission-driven institution that in my view, and I'm assuming hopefully all MDIs share this view, and perhaps a lot of non-MDIs should actually adopt this view, is an institution, a financial institution, a bank, whose role is to really make a difference, have an impact in the communities that we serve. And when I say hopefully all institutions share that, that should be part of what we do, why we do what we do, in the core, in our gut, that we bleed. And I feel like there are times that we're surrounded by large institutions and that come into the market, say that they're there to serve the community, to make a difference in the community, and quite often it's to check a box, for CRA credit, and then they disappear from the community. And I don't think that's what our role is as financial institutions. I think as financial institutions, we're the pillar of strength of the US economy, and we're supposed to be leading all the time. Then I think your question was, why was I dumb enough to do this de novo thing? So I've acquired a lot of banks over my career. I started my career as an investment banker, as an investment banker to the banking system, the banking industry. And at that time, I thought I knew a lot. And at 62 years old in October next month, happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday.
I realized how little I knew in my 20s and my 30s. And in thinking back, to me, it was about the numbers. Then, when I retired from investment banking and acquired banks and built banks and took each bank public through an IPO, I realized that there were humans involved, that there were people, and that we were responsible for their lives and their ability to put food on the table, and the ability then from a client standpoint to enable them to execute on their vision, their dream, what they wanted to accomplish in life. And in 2020, January of 2020, it was announced that the previous bank that we had built, which was Opus Bank, at about $8 billion, $8.5 billion in total assets, it was announced to be acquired. And if you can picture that time, January 2020, and the close of the acquisition was June 2020, in between there was this thing called COVID that hit. And all of a sudden I had to learn about this thing called Zoom. And I was hosting Zoom calls with perhaps 250 of our previous clients, and they were really struggling. And they were trying to figure out how to navigate the SBA, how to navigate this thing called the PPP, and how to navigate their own bank. And I didn't own a bank. All of a sudden, this was this moment in life where I didn't own a bank. And I felt there was a need for a new bank to emerge coming out of COVID, because I thought this could get really ugly. When was the last time everyone was sent home, told to operate their business somehow, some way? And I looked at my team, or what was my previous team, and I said, I'm going to do something again. And they said, we're in. And I didn't want to spend life negotiating with trying to convince a bank to sell to us for however period of time that would take. And looking back, I kind of wish I had done that. But instead, we launched a de novo. And now I'd like to celebrate that we are officially not a de novo, and we're done with the de novo period. But we designated at that time, what really resonated was that we as an industry can make money and do good all at the same time. And I thought it was incredibly important that our focus, for example, in Southern California, the second largest market in the US, but the most diverse market in the US, we must be reflective of the markets that we serve. And that's not just words. So we took the step to designate ourselves as a minority depository institution. So out of 4,600 banks in the country, and of the 4,600, 145-ish are designated as MDIs. We're one of only 4 diverse multiracial MDIs. And we'd like to lead every single day with brain power solutions and make a difference in the communities that we serve.
And you are certainly doing that, Stephen. And if I can maybe come back, because I know it was a long question, but we launched our program earlier this year. And if you can maybe just speak a little bit to what you were able to do with the small businesses in and around Orange County and the Clover offer, and how that partnership and that program has worked between Genesis and Fiserv.
No, it's been incredible. And not for a Fiserv commercial, but you guys have been absolutely incredible in enabling it to happen, which is, our Orange County, we focus on Orange County, LA County, Riverside, San Bernardino counties. And for those of you that are here from all around the country, Orange County, our home headquarters county, is the 6th largest county in the US. And as we all know, small businesses comprise a massive amount of the US economy. And they're constantly competing against large businesses to do what they do. And they don't generally have access and there's a tremendous amount of barrier to access to being able to compete on the same level as the large businesses. And what we put together in terms of a partnership with Fiserv having acquired First Data, and through the First Data acquisition, Clover, and you being the largest processor in the country, you know, we've put together a partnership that has enabled businesses to access the exact same high level of quality product, service, payment processing as any large business and large bank could deliver. And that's been pretty phenomenal, and it's been very easy to take it from, for example, merchant processing not being a part of our business to now being a meaningful effort within the entire company. And then everything that we do with you from the standpoint of cash management and treasury management, and enabling us to have the product set, the technology suite to be able to compete against, for example, the Wells Fargos of the world, and to be able to bring on any size business has been pretty impressive. So we really thank you for that partnership.
No, we appreciate your partnership as well. Thank you for that, Stephen. Jim, if I can turn to you. As M&F celebrates its 117th year, and I think that's worthy of a round of applause, can you talk about the importance of telling your story in the North Carolina market and beyond the North Carolina market, and how you and the M&F team have worked with Fiserv to help tell that story?
Well, first, it's great to be here with Janet and you, Neil, and you, Stephen. But I just want to do a special shout out to Fiserv and the Fiserv team. I just want to thank Frank and Neil and Nicole and now Leslie for your support of MDIs and having us on your platform today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've been in business 117 years, and we've been partnered with communities all across North Carolina. And we are passionate about our customers and what they do and who they help. And we've partnered with you to provide all kinds of services. And all of us as bankers, we have reports that show the number of loans, number of deposits, number of whatever. But it's that end customer that we're supporting that really makes a difference for what I'm passionate about. And so partnering with Fiserv, we've been able to create some videos that show exactly what we're doing for our customers, how they're either purchasing equipment, how they're maybe hiring more people, how they're leveraging the capital that we're providing to them. And we're doing it on a video. But it's so powerful because we're showing those videos to our depositors, some of our institutional investors, to our board of directors, but also our teams. A lot of times when we make a loan and we're in 5 different markets, people don't know who it is that we're actually helping. So telling that story, I just think is super, super important. And we need all of you and all the MDIs to tell their story because it is transformational in terms of the impact.
Really appreciate that, Jim. And if I can maybe ask a follow-up to you. We've worked together with a merchant program, and we've had a team working very closely with your team as well. If you can maybe talk a bit about that experience and how that's helped you grow your business in the merchant space as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. You know, we have about 3,300 small business customers, and we had a really low penetration rate of our customers who actually had merchant account activity with us. And so we partnered with Fiserv, and they created a report. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but the MOA. And it was eye-opening that we were losing a lot of business to our competitors, but also large banks, as Stephen just highlighted. And so we have been joined at the hip, so to speak, for the past year or so with launching that program in all of the markets where we're located. And it's been a fantastic product for us in terms of growth and profitability. And now we want to start leading with that particular particular product. And I'm just thankful for Fiserv bringing us that data, but also providing us kind of a turnkey solution of how to actually implement a program like that. And I'll give them a kudo. We told them we couldn't do it, and they said, we're going to help you create the program, execute the program, and increase the number of merchant accounts that she has. So I want to give them just a round of applause for working with us to get this particular product launched, and they've been great partners, so thank you.
Well, Jim, thank you for that. And I will say to you, and we've had a similar experience with Stephen and the Genesis team, for inviting us to see actually what happens on the ground. And I have to tell you, in my career, it's been one of the more powerful experiences that I've witnessed in terms of seeing the impact that these small businesses feel when we're able to provide solutions like Clover, or being able really just to show up and partner with their bank and work with them. And you see the hopes and dreams that these small businesses have and the work that these institutions are doing every day, M&F and Genesis and US Metro and so many others, to really make those dreams come true. So thank you for sharing that.
Do we get that mower report also?
Yes, you certainly do.
Just checking.
So Janet, that's a good transition to you. You are probably the newest to the party here in terms of our MDI programming here at Fiserv. And can you share maybe with the audience why you feel the focus on MDIs is warranted and what you hope to achieve in the way of impact and business growth by participating on our advisory council?
Sure. So first, thanks for inviting me to the party. I certainly look forward to learning a lot more about, it seems as if Stephen and Jim, they've been telling the good story about all the good things that have been happening. As far as the why, I think, as you have alluded to, it's a practical one because it's traditionally underserved market, right? So, and then in a business standpoint, I think it's part of the market that is asking to be served and to be catered to. On a personal note, my personal standpoint is I actually made a choice, a decision to focus on it. It's a choice that I made when I started in the banking business to uplifting the community that raised me. And for me, my community is the Korean community. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there with your own communities that you want to uplift and focus on. So that's my personal one. And as far as the last part of the question, what I want to, by joining the council, I'm hoping that I can make an impact, be a voice for a lot of minority deposit institutions to a first-class institution like Fiserv. So in time that we progress and we can slowly reduce the underserved population.
Excellent, Janet. Thank you very much. And, you know, again, I think Stephen led with this when he talked about the mission-driven aspect of MDIs and the fact that you're serving communities maybe that are new to banking services or maybe immigrant populations. And again, the services that you provide are so vital. If I can maybe ask a question to all of you, and maybe Stephen, you can kick us off. If you can maybe share your views on what you see as the needs for the communities that you serve going forward and how our ability to partner together with your institutions can address those needs today and in the future.
So, again, going back to the market we serve in Southern California, the population ranges anywhere, depending on the counties, from 60 to 75% majority minority population. And something, Neil, you and I were talking about before is that we as an industry have trained the client base to be what the banking system now is, which is generational. It's kind of changed over generations in that it went from bringing ideas and solutions and truly advising the client to it now being a little bit commoditized. And I think that when we look at this minority population, diverse population, or let's just call it a small business population, and then we look at the MDI community, the MDI community overall is relatively small in terms of the average size of an institution. And the sophistication that we need to be able to bring needs to be able to match that of the larger businesses and that of the larger institutions who some of it they build in-house, some of it is modules that they plug in, but we as community banks and as MDIs need to be able to bring that high level of sophistication to the business community that we serve, or they're going to remain not really having access to the things that fuel the growth of their business and the tools that enable them to truly grow their business. And without that, when I think about Orange County, the second largest Vietnamese population in the U.S. and outside of Vietnam, one of the largest populations in the world, just as one example, relies on now the new generation coming in, second generation Vietnamese family member, to come in and actually bring a level of sophistication to that family-owned business that maybe wasn't there in the previous generation. So we need to, as a banking system, partnered with you, be able to bring that sophistication to the clients, but understand also that they can't necessarily afford the highest level of sophistication. So I think together we can always figure that out.
Yep. Jim, maybe if I can ask the same question to you.
Yeah, I still think the biggest challenge impacting small and medium-sized businesses is access to capital. And we're focused on that particular segment of the banking industry. And we've been doing it for 117 years, so we're real passionate about it. And my team is sitting over there also, and they're very passionate about it. I just want to make sure that when we're partnering with a partner, that they're invested in our customers and our customer base. And I just think there's a tremendous opportunity for us to leverage your product offerings to get merchant or cash management or treasury management or any of those products, but for us to be the best at it, just as the same level as some of the larger institutions. Yep. Because every small business wants to get their money faster. And so if we can tout that as a byproduct of having this partnership with Fiserv, I just think it's going to allow us to continue to grow. And so we need your support to help us develop those products, educate our customer base, educate our employees on how those products work and the features and benefits. And I just think it's a tremendous opportunity to partner with you in that area.
Agreed. And Janet, your perspective?
So as a community banker, I think we all know we wear multiple hats, right? We don't have the resources like a lot of our larger counterparts out there. But in today's technological, I think, landscape and partnership with an institution like Fiserv, I think we are always looking to improve our operational efficiencies. And in that sense, I think the ability to overcome the language barrier with the resources like ChatGPT or any AI models that are out there today, I think could be something pressing for a community bank like us that is catering to the immigrant community in partnering with like Fiserv.
Yep. No, all very good. And I think when you think towards the future, obviously a lot of unknowns with that, but I think having a strong foundation, strong partnership, being able to hear through you and the voices of the communities that you're serving and being able to react and adapt quickly, I think is certainly key. Along those lines, you all have a very, very strong presence in the communities that you serve. And I'd love, maybe we'll go in reverse order and start with Janet this time, but can you share an example, if you will, about the impact that you have been able to have on a customer or customers? Because remember, we're talking about not only impact, but impact on the people in the communities. If you can maybe share a story about the impact your bank or that your teammates have had on a customer and the broader communities that you serve.
I think as an institution in the immigrant community and in partnering with Fiserv, I know Jim alluded to MOA, certainly offering Clover, right, to our retail customers was a big impact. We did not really see the opportunity or realize the immense opportunity there was out there in being able to offer such a product or service. So that's one that I can think of that's very recent, but I'm sure there's a lot more that I have to discover.
Excellent example. Maybe Jim, if you can share one.
Yeah, I actually have two examples. One is, we participated in the Paycheck Protection Program, and we helped 1,000 businesses totaling about $50 million in loans. But we did those loans in 115 different cities in North Carolina. And I was in Charlotte with some of my team last week, and we still had customers coming up to us thanking us for participating in that program and actually calling our customers back because they couldn't get a call from some of the larger institutions. So that has really helped propel our business since that particular program. We're also a community development financial institution, or CDFI, and we're required to lend 60% of our lending and 60% of the number of loans to African Americans. And I get charged up looking at that data on a quarterly basis and an annual basis. And when we share that data with our investors and with our big bank partners and even with you, people now know our impact. They see it, they see the data, and they know what we're doing. So we just got to keep doing it and telling that story, but it's a great story to tell.
Okay, so I'm going to cover a few things. So the way we structured the institution is really multi-pronged in that we have the bank at the core, and then we also have a foundation, a public foundation, 501c3, and that's the Genesis for Good Foundation. And then we also, inside the bank, created a division, although in some ways it almost operates as, we would almost brand it as a separate entity, even though it's a division inside the bank. And that's fondly called internally, and I hate when people shorten names, but they call it the GBIE, which is the Genesis Bank Institute for Entrepreneurship. And Fiserv has experienced both of these firsthand. I'm going to be careful because once I bring up one of these, I think everyone's going to want a piece of that candy. With the foundation, Fiserv partnered with us so closely and believes so much in the impact that we collectively could have in the community that we received a grant from Fiserv, and it's a grant for small businesses. Then we vet the businesses and very carefully determine and then follow those businesses in terms of making sure that the grants that we then give to those businesses, which each business can apply for and receive up to $10,000 towards doing something that will impact the growth and destiny of that company. So if, for example, maybe if they went out and bought a piece of equipment that they couldn't afford to buy, that they could exponentially increase the growth of the company. Or perhaps if they were able to employ a chief marketing officer in the company, that would enable them to expand the business exponentially. And we just launched that program and vetted a number of businesses. It took a lot of businesses to get to the initial grants that we gave. And that's I'm very excited about, and it's very tangible, and it's new. Now, interestingly, we launched that and announced those grants hand in hand with something that we did with the Genesis Bank Institute for Entrepreneurship, which we were really excited to have both Neil and Nicole and some members from the Clover team at what we called our Business Expo. And through the Genesis Bank Institute for Entrepreneurship, we marketed out to the community, out to small businesses, and we actually had 600 businesses show up at the expo. And what we brought to them was a lot of the professional providers that these businesses actually need in order to excel. They were able to network, they were able to meet CPAs that could enable them to provide good books and records, which would enable them to become more bankable as they grow their business. They were able to meet the insurance brokerage firms that could bring them the liability insurance that they might need in order to cover themselves as they grow their business. They were able to meet law firms that could help them structure how the business was being set up and enable them to properly set up the business going forward. A lot of the businesses are lacking the sophistication. They know how to build the widget or provide the service, but they don't necessarily know how to run a business. And we were able to bring all of that together, and it was a phenomenal event. And I think the greatest moment was when Neil came up to me And he said, this was unbelievable to be on the ground and see what happens with the businesses and meet the businesses on the ground. And then there were lines at the Clover tent, which was actually also the Genesis Bank tent. And it was incredible. And we opened up a lot of new accounts, new business through that process.
And it's an example of that old adage, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, you go together. And I applaud Stephen and Jim and Janet as well, because they foster that sense of community. And so a lot of the efforts are about building those kinds of communities. I could ask them questions all day. I really appreciate the partnership. I appreciate your being here with us this afternoon. So thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for joining this session as well. We hope that the theme of powering communities came through loud and clear, not just as being something that is the right thing to do, but it's something that is good for business and growth, which is what Making Power Moves is ultimately all about. I invite you to get a good seat tomorrow at the morning general session, where you'll hear from more of our Fiserv leaders, Chris Foskett, John Gibbons, Jen LeClaire, and Andrew Gelb, who will dive deeper into some of the strategies and approaches that can be fundamental to increase growth for your institutions. Also, one of my colleagues, Nicole Valentine-Smith, will host a panel discussion tomorrow at 3 o'clock on how to quantify and amplify your community impact story, with leaders from Lunam, National Bankers Association, and Carver Financial Corporation. Again, I thank you and have a fantastic forum.
Thank you.